The Adams Archive.
O'Keefe Media Group and James O'Keefe, where BlackRock employee, a BlackRock recruiter decides people's fate, says war is good for business in undercover footage. Let's watch it.
They don't want to be in the news. They don't want people to talk about them. They don't want to be anywhere on the radar.
Why not?
I don't know, but I suspect it's probably because it's easier to do things when people aren't thinking about it. All of these financial institutions, they buy politicians. You can take this big ton of money, and then you can start to buy people. I work for a company called BlackRock.
Meet Serge Varley, a recruiter at BlackRock.
Let me tell you, it's not who's the president. It's who's controlling the wallet.
And if you didn't just hear that, because he's speaking very low in a restaurant, he says, let me tell you, it's not who the president is. It's who's controlling the wallet of the president. This recruiter for BlackRock says.
So it's
And who's that?
the hedge funds, BlackRock, the banks. These guys run campaign financing. Yep, you can buy your candidates. And obviously we have the system in place. First there's the senators, and these guys are rich. You got 10 grand, you can buy a senator. I can give you 500K right now, no questions asked.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this, we're done.
Does like everybody do that? Does BlackRock do that?
It doesn't matter who wins.
You're still right.
They're in my pocket at this point.
Here's Serge Varley on how good war is for BlackRock's business.
Do you have any thoughts on the Ukraine-Russia war?
Yeah, I mean, I do have thoughts.
What are they?
Ukraine is good for business. You know that, right? I'll give an example. Russia blows up Ukraine's grain silos. Price of wheat's gonna go mad up. Ukrainian economy is tied very largely to the wheat market, global wheat market. Prices of bread, literally everything it goes up and down. This is fantastic if you're trading. Volatility creates opportunity to make profit. War is real good for business. It's exciting when goes wrong, right? BlackRock manages 20 trillion. It's incomprehensible numbers.
BlackRock Serge Varley says all of this is above a normal person's understanding.
You're like an undercover reporter. No people don't give a shit. This is beyond them. The whole thing of like domination from a concept is
He said, you're like an undercover reporter. Yeah, no shit, buddy. Yeah. And you're pretty smart for picking up on that and still talking this entire time. He said war is good for business and that BlackRock manages $20 trillion in assets.
so interesting.
Hi, I'm James O'Keefe with OMG News. Here we are with our latest story, this time on BlackRock, one of the world's leading asset and investment managers, which owns significant shares of companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Anheuser-Busch, Meta, Target, Procter & Gamble, Comcast, CNN, Fox, and yes, Pfizer, just to name a few. At OMG, we do not shy away from exposing powerful companies, and we're not afraid of powerful people. So we decided to take a look for ourselves at the influence BlackRock has on our politics and the influence they have on our culture. So to do that, what better place to start a hidden camera investigation?
I'm the person who headhunts people from other firms, so I would approach you and be like, hey, this is a good reason why you should come work for us.
Serge tells us who really runs the world, how they do it, and just how much it costs to buy people, like politicians.
Let me tell you, it's not who's the president. It's who's controlling the wallet. So it's
And who's that?
the hedge funds, BlackRock, the banks. These guys run.
And if you think of that, it's not really the banks, the hedge funds. It's the people who own the banks and who own the hedge funds who are sitting in the boardroom when they're having strategy discussions about how to rig the next election, allegedly. Right? It's the people who are sitting there trying to figure out whether they're going to put Pride stuff at the front of Target when they own it. It's the people who decide the, what is it? The CEI scores is now going to be the next way that a company gets funding. Right? So it's not the entity that's making these decisions. It's the people in the strategy meetings at these boardrooms that are making these decisions. And the people at the strategy of those boardrooms only sit there as long as the owners of these companies, the highest up people within these companies, the families who started them, the head of those families, like the Rockefellers, like the Rothschilds, like the George Soroses, who determine the fate of humanity, who determine the fate of our country, who determine the fate of these wars. Because whether they want to fund one side or the other, they're both going to win, right? They're still going to make profits either way, just as he talked about. So whether they're investing on wheat or they're shorting wheat when they know there's about to be an airstrike on a major wheat, silo that determines the Ukrainian economy, right? So you get Raytheon, or you get, whatever the, military industrial complex is, making strategic decisions or giving strategic advice to these companies and also pumping them full of missiles. And then they make these decisions about where they're going to strike. And that causes changes in what happens to the economy, which they then short or invest in the stocks of each side, making money knowing what's about to happen. So the longer that these wars go on and the longer that they have a say in the strategy of these wars, the more profits they make. So when you figure it out from that perspective, and then you understand that that's what you're sending your sons or your daughter into when it comes to being in the military, maybe it's time to second guess whether, that's what's in their best interest, especially when they only generally go after, lower income families. Literally, I can't tell you how crazy it is to have a recruiter come to a high school that you're at and put a pull-up bar there, like, show me how tough you are, and then throw a fucking t-shirt at you and then try to recruit you so you can go shoot somebody with a different religion who was born in a different side of the world than you for them to make profits. Right? It's just so messed up. So let's see if there's anything else interesting in this, and then we'll wrap it up and move into our next topic.
Campaign financing. Yep, you can buy your candidates.
How so?
All of these financial institutions, they buy politicians.
How do they run the world?
You acquire stuff. You diversify, you acquire, you keep acquiring, you spend whatever you make in acquiring more. And at a certain point, your risk level is super low. Like, imagine you've invested in like 10 different industries, from food to drinks to like technology, right? One of them fails, it doesn't matter. You have 9 others to back you up. Risk management is inherently in just about everything, and in the finance space, it's all about the money you make. You don't let it sit. You keep using it over and over, and it
Reinvest.
and it exponential growth.
And then once you just own a little bit of everything, is that where the control?
Yeah, you own a little bit of everything, and that little bit of everything gives you so much money on a yearly basis that you can take this big ton of money. And then you can start to buy people. Obviously, we have this system in place. First, there's the senators, and these guys are cheap. You got 10 grand, you can buy a senator. It doesn't matter who wins.
You're still right.
They're in my pocket at this point. I can give you $500K right now, no questions asked.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do what needs to be done? I'd be like, yeah, of course.
And
why not?
does everybody do that? Does BlackRock do that?
The BlackRock recruiter also tells us about how the U.S. government relies on BlackRock for their economic simulation computational power.
Economic simulation. They need to understand the impact of something, right? They're gonna raise the interest rate, for example. Mm-hmm. It's gonna create this cascade of various factors that they're not sure what it's gonna do, basically.
And just how f***ing great the Ukraine war is for business.
Do you have any thoughts on the Ukraine-Russia war?
All right, so it looks like he's just going over everything that they already showed in the first part of the video, but good on O'Keefe Media Group. It shames me to not be able to say Project Veritas, because those words have been slipping from my mouth for so long. But good on James O'Keefe for pivoting from Project Veritas so quickly and then coming up with these amazing stories as well.